Well, thanks for talking to us, Dave, ahead of your next game, your final away game of the season, of course, coming up. But I'm pretty sure you'll be looking to follow up what was a very eye-catching performance in midweek, and you took a lot of plaudits from a lot of big names in football. But it's now down to your lads to go and continue that against Bristol Rovers.
Yeah, I think Tuesday was a good performance. It was ironically better than the week before, where we got 3 points at Fleetwood. But we only got a point. But we know if we play football, we've got a chance to, win more games than you lose, if you like. We've got to make sure we play like that. So that's that. I would say we can't play any other way. We can. We showed that against Portsmouth, because we went far more direct, far quicker, and got a point against a good Portsmouth team. So we know we can play different ways, but we know that gives us, how we played on Tuesday gives us the best chance of winning games of football, developing players, and being a successful football club. So that's the challenge, is to repeat that. And that's one thing we have been this season, is far too inconsistent. So we've got to make sure we do that. We'll back up Tuesday with another good performance tomorrow. It's a tough place to go, irrespective of where they are in the league or their form or whatever. It's a tough place to go, and we've got to make sure that we keep our standards as high as they were on Tuesday night.
So you're going into your 45th game of the season back in League One, in the league, of course. With 60 points achieved, you've got a chance to take it to 66, obviously. And fingers crossed, that could just lead you to a top 10 finish. That's no mean feat, is it, in your first season back, if that can happen?
No, the plan is always to finish as high as we can. And that means winning games of football. Listen, I think everyone has been content with this season. We've never been looking over our shoulder. We've actually been looking upwards for long periods. However, contentment, it's not really a word that I like. There's plenty of people in this world that are content with their lot. It suggests to me that you're happy just with what you are, whereas we want to get better. We want to get better all the time. So, yes, it's acceptable as a first season so far, but it's by no means the pinnacle of what we want to achieve. We've got to keep striving and keep believing we can get better, and we can. There's no getting around that. I was looking at some stats yesterday. Some of the stats are eye-watering where we are in league for chances created and key passes. We're top of the league for key passes, or we were before Tuesday. Sorry, I didn't look at them yesterday. It was Tuesday. So we know we've got the creativity. We've got to make sure we're a bit more ruthless in both boxes. It was the same Tuesday night. If we'd have been ruthless in one box, would have the 95th minute goal would have been the winner and not the equaliser. So that's a significant area for improvement, and there's many others. So yes, we're content where we are at the minute, but it should be the minimum from now on.
An interesting point that I've just been looking at, when you look at the last couple of seasons, how well you've played at home and how sort of Alexandra Stadium a fortress. All of a sudden, in the latter stages of the season, Dave, your away form seems to have outshone your home form. I think it's no win in 5 at home and just 1 defeat in 5 away from home. And in that, there's a couple of 2 or 3 clean sheets as well. What do you make of that?
If I had the answer to that, Graham. That can happen. That can happen. We won't be the first team that has a better away record than home record. Our home record has been excellent for well over 2 seasons now. Not winning in 5 is sort of been unheard of. However, when you factor in that we're playing your Portsmouths of this world, and that's, it's not easy to beat them teams home or away. So, we can't get too carried away. Likewise, we can't get too carried away with our away form either. We've just got to make sure that we keep an eye on it and try and understand why. Is it easier to go away from home? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. It depends who you're playing and how you play. We've got to make sure that, irrespective, we've got to make sure our home form does get back to the levels that it's been for the last 2 or 3 years. That's for sure, because it's an important area, your home form, for any team in any division.
You mentioned that, it's a hard place to go to, but they will be reeling from going down. It's a horrible feeling when you've got a relegation on your CV, whether you're management or players or anything to do with the football club. But you've got to go professionally, and it's all about your attitude and application to go and come back with another good away result.
Yeah, I think I don't think anyone can argue that we aren't trying. Yes, we've had a couple of patchy performances, Rochdale at home, for example. But I don't think anyone who saw the game on Tuesday night could argue that we're rolling over for anyone. Like I said, Charlton are a top 6 team. So, we've got a duty to the league. Never mind ourselves. To uphold the integrity of the competition. So, I'm sure Joey could be answering the same question. What have they got to play for other than pride at the minute? And that question could quite easily be put to him. Listen, it's important that you give your all the time, and I'm sure both teams will do that.
I know it's not easy to talk to us, because you will obviously be still talking to your players and that, but contract talks are ongoing with a lot of players. You've already told us, this is going to be a massive summer for you. Can you bring us up to date, not in terms of names and what's going on, but where you are with that? Have you finalised, or are you still talking? What goes on, with just 10 days to go to the end of the season?
Plenty of talking. We're getting somewhere with quite a lot of the young lads. So I'm hoping that 3 or 4 of them will be done. We've got meetings penciled in for the Monday after the Shrewsbury game for 2 agents. So, that hopefully I think they'll hopefully get to a conclusion quite quickly after that. There's 1 or 2 that we're not getting anywhere, and there's a big wall of concrete between us and them, which is what it is. And then there's lots of other stuff in between, if you like. So it's a continual process that's time consuming, sometimes very, very difficult, not helped a lot of the time by agents, but then at the same time, often helped by agents who understand exactly where their client's at and understands where this football club's at. I keep saying it, we've got the lowest budget in the league. So anybody who's coming here and asking for silly money or not understanding the process that they're on, their clients on, well, and that's people in this building and outside of this building, and we're about players outside of this building. We just go, we can't do that, thank you very much, and move on. And we often have that conversation as well. So there's always that, but we'll keep working hard to find the right people, right kind of player, right ability for this football club.
Well, you're frozen up then, but you've come back anyway.
Oh, sorry.
No, right. just finishing it off in terms of talking contracts. A couple of things. Do you judge? How do you get to that final decision for a yes or a no in terms of offering a contract? Is it taking over the 12 months of the season, or how did you get there?
It varies depending on who the player is, age, potential, how they've done over the length of their contract, as opposed to just the last 3 games, 3 months, 12 months of this season. I think that's important. And also the market. there's no point in getting rid of all your goalkeepers if there's no goalkeepers out of contract anywhere else, because you won't get any. For example, I'm using goalkeepers because all ours are in contract, so nobody reads into it and goes, "Oh my God, that's right." You know, I'm specifically using that because I know that it will stop waffle. You know, you can't. You've got to try and assess if you can get better before going into the market. That's the first thing. You've got to see how well the player's done. That's another consideration. Obviously, finances dictate as well, or an input, and so you know there's all that to consider. It's not easy. I would say it's not easy. It's an art form rather than a science. Although I'm sure some people will tell you it's a science because of all the data, which is part of it. I would say it's part of it, but it's not the be all and end all.
I'm just going to wrap it up with one question about Callum situation. How do you deal with that? Because I think he's not 24 till November. He's running out of contract. We all know that ability that he's got in there. We heard you speak about him and what you want to try and do to him, and in your coaching sort of development. How do you go about a Callum situation who's getting towards 24?
Well, with Callum, he's an excellent player. I want him to become more effective in both boxes. Certainly in the attacking one, that's for sure. And we've got to work with him. Simple as that. Obviously, he's 23. If his agent wants to take him cross-border for the FIFA compensation, then there's not a lot we can do. If he believes we can make him better, and I believe we can, then he needs to sign a new contract. It's as simple as that. So that's where we're at. I've got to ring his agent today because I missed him yesterday, and we'll go from there.
Let's talk about what's happening over the weekend then, away from the football match. But there's a media blackout against racism. Your thoughts, just as the manager, on that, Dave?
Well, I think for me, it's an acceptable way to show the discrimination that most people in professional sport have encountered. Not just the form of racism. You know, I think there's 9 protected attributes in the Equalities Act. Now, I'm not sure any male footballers have been told that they shouldn't be pregnant, but you know, we've all been. Oh, I know I have. I've been called all sorts online. Nothing to do with racism, obviously. But if racism leads the charge for change, because people are stupid enough to put things in print online that they wouldn't dare say to people's faces. And the problem is now is in the modern era in society, and you know, everyone's got an equal voice, and that's not a bad thing, unless you say something defamatory or or derogatory. And there's got to be consequences to that, I'm afraid. There has to be. People can't just throw insults about willy-nilly and expect, you know, nothing, no recourse. So for me, I'm right behind it. We've taken the knee in every home game because I've made sure we have. Because I believe that things do need to change. You know, I think I've got a strong moral compass, and I don't want to see anyone be abused online or elsewhere. So, you know, I think it's the right thing to do, and hopefully, these big tech giants will be able to, you know, input something in their software, in their behind the scenes stuff. But as soon as people say certain words, they're not allowed to post, and it gets investigated because they've got a responsibility. They're not just. They have to police their platforms, I'm afraid, and at the minute, I don't think they are.